Mat Armstrong has become one of the most well-known names in the world of car rebuilding on YouTube. He built his reputation by taking heavily damaged and written-off cars and bringing them back to life in his own workshop. From cheap cars to high-end performance machines, he films every step and shares the full process with his audience. But in 2025, he took on something completely different. It was not just another supercar rebuild. It was a crashed Bugatti Chiron Per Sport, one of the rarest and most expensive cars ever made. Only a few dozen of these cars exist in the world, and each one costs millions of dollars. This project quickly became more than just a repair job. It turned into a global talking point about technology, ownership, and who really has control over a car once it is sold. The situation became even more intense when Bugatti itself stepped into the story. The company that built the car started restricting access to parts and repair support. This created a major conflict between a car owner, an independent builder, and a luxury manufacturer. What followed was not just a rebuild, but a battle over how far a car owner can go when fixing something so advanced and expensive. This story became one of the most talked about automotive events online because it mixed extreme damage, massive cost, and a very unusual fight over repair rights. The story of the Bugatti crash began in the United States when the owner had only recently purchased the car. The Bugatti Chiron Per Sport is already known as one of the most powerful hypercars in the world, with extreme speed and engineering built for high-performance driving. Unfortunately, during a late-night drive, the car was involved in a serious accident. The driver accidentally collided with a much smaller vehicle while changing lanes. Even though the impact speed was not extremely high, the damage to the Bugatti was severe because hypercars are built with lightweight materials that do not absorb crash force the same way normal cars do. Airbags deployed instantly, and the front end of the car was badly destroyed. Carbon fiber panels cracked, the structure was affected, and expensive internal parts were damaged. Even though no one was seriously injured, the car itself was considered a total loss by experts. Insurance companies reviewed the damage and decided the repair cost would be too high compared to the value of the car. As a result, the vehicle was sent to a salvage auction. This is where damaged luxury cars are often sold to buyers who take them apart or attempt repairs. Surprisingly, the owner decided not to let the story end there. Instead of walking away, he bought the wrecked Bugatti back for millions of dollars. This decision immediately raised eyebrows in the automotive world because rebuilding a hypercar like this is extremely complex, expensive, and often not supported by the manufacturer after a crash. After the car was recovered from the auction, it sat unused for some time while decisions were made about what to do next. The owner first contacted Bugatti directly to get a repair estimate. The company responded with an extremely high cost for original parts and repair work, along with a long waiting time. They also made it clear that the car would need to be repaired at their official factory to guarantee safety and performance. This meant shipping the damaged Bugatti back to Europe, which was not something the owner wanted to do. A second option was offered at a lower price, but only under strict conditions that included returning the car untouched. Both options were rejected. At this point, the owner began exploring independent repair options, which is when Mat Armstrong became involved. When Mat first saw the car in person, the damage was far worse than it looked in photos. The engine had moved out of place, structural components were broken, and the carbon fiber frame showed signs of serious stress. Even for someone experienced in rebuilding cars, this was not an ordinary job. The Bugatti uses a highly advanced monocoque structure, meaning the entire car depends on a single carbon fiber shell for strength. Any mistake during repair could make the car unsafe at high speeds. Despite the risks, Mat decided to take on the project. He understood it would be one of the hardest builds he had ever attempted, but also one of the most interesting. From that moment, the rebuild officially began, and what seemed like a simple repair job turned into a technical and legal challenge that would soon grow much bigger than expected. Things changed dramatically when Bugatti reacted to the independent rebuild attempt. Not long after the project started, the car's identification number, known as the VIN, was locked by the manufacturer. This meant that official Bugatti dealers could no longer supply parts for the vehicle. Even basic components like headlights or small brackets were restricted. This action effectively cut off access to the original supply chain, forcing the rebuild to rely on alternative solutions. The manufacturer explained that this was done for safety reasons, arguing that after a major crash, hidden structural damage could exist that only factory engineers could properly evaluate. They believed that rebuilding such a high-performance machine outside official conditions could be dangerous. However, the owner of the car disagreed strongly. He argued that as the legal owner, he should have the right to repair his own vehicle. This disagreement quickly turned into a public debate. Social media posts, videos, and statements from both sides spread rapidly online. The situation became even more heated when discussions about right to repair entered the conversation. Many people began comparing this case to other industries where manufacturers limit access to parts and repair tools. Some supported Bugatti's safety concerns, while others supported the idea that ownership should include full repair freedom. The controversy grew beyond just one car, becoming a wider discussion about control, technology, and consumer rights in the modern automotive world. As the debate continued, Mat Armstrong moved forward with the rebuild using whatever resources were available. Since official Bugatti parts were restricted, the team had to rely on engineering creativity and alternative methods. The damaged car was carefully taken apart to understand the full extent of the internal damage. This included separating major structural sections to access the engine, gearbox, and chassis components. Specialized tools were used, but in many cases, the team also had to improvise with workshop equipment. One of the most critical challenges was the broken engine mount, which is a key part that holds the engine in position. Without it, the car could not function properly. Instead of replacing it with an official part, the team decided to repair it using advanced machining techniques. The part was scanned, digitally recreated, and then repaired using welding and precision tools. At the same time, other parts of the car were either rebuilt or recreated using modern fabrication methods like 3D printing. This included air ducts, brackets, and damaged panels. Every step required extreme care because even small mistakes could affect the alignment of the entire vehicle. The rebuild was slow, detailed, and full of risk. But gradually, the car started to take shape again, showing that even extremely advanced machines can sometimes be repaired outside factory environments if enough skill and patience are involved. As the rebuild progressed, the car slowly came back together. The repaired engine mount was installed first, followed by the rejoining of the two main sections of the car's carbon fiber structure. Wiring systems, cooling pipes, and mechanical parts were carefully reconnected. Each step had to be done in a specific order to avoid damaging sensitive components. Once the structure was stable, the team focused on finishing the engine system and preparing it for startup. This was the most important moment of the entire project. After weeks of work, the engine finally started. The sound of the W16 engine returning to life showed that the rebuild had been successful so far. The car moved forward under its own power for the first time since the crash, proving that the structural repair had worked. However, the project was still not complete. There were still issues like small leaks, unfinished bodywork, and missing interior components. Even so, the most critical milestone had been achieved. The moment went viral online, with many people impressed by the result and others still questioning whether such a rebuild should have been allowed outside factory supervision. The story of this Bugatti rebuild goes far beyond just fixing a damaged car. It highlights a growing debate in the modern world about ownership and control. On one side, manufacturers argue that highly advanced machines require strict control to ensure safety. On the other side, owners and independent builders believe they should have full rights to repair their own property. This case brought those two ideas into direct conflict. It also showed how modern tools like 3D scanning and digital engineering are changing the way repairs can be done outside factories. At the same time, it raised concerns about value, safety, and long-term reliability. A rebuilt hypercar, even if it runs perfectly, may never be valued the same as an untouched factory version. As of now, the project remains one of the most discussed examples in the automotive world. It is not just about one car anymore. It is about how far technology and human skill can go when combined, and whether traditional rules about repair still make sense in a world where almost anything can now be rebuilt. Once the Bugatti rebuild video started spreading online, the reaction was immediate and huge. Millions of people watched the process of a crashed hypercar being taken apart and rebuilt outside of the official factory system. For many viewers, it looked like something impossible was being achieved in a normal workshop. For others, it raised serious concerns about safety and responsibility. The internet quickly split into two strong sides. One group praised Mat Armstrong and his team for proving that complex engineering is not limited only to manufacturers. They believed that modern tools like 3D scanning, CAD design, and CNC machining were changing the world of car repair forever. They saw the rebuild as a symbol of skill, creativity, and freedom. On the other hand, critics argued that a Bugatti is not a normal car and should not be treated like one. They said that even if the car looks fixed, there could still be hidden structural problems that only factory engineers can properly detect. This debate made the project much bigger than just a YouTube video. It became a global discussion about trust, engineering, and risk. Some viewers even compared it to aircraft repairs, saying that no one would accept a privately rebuilt airplane without official certification. As the conversation grew, the rebuild turned into a symbol of a larger question: how far should independent repair be allowed when dealing with extreme machines built for extreme performance? At the same time, the automotive industry itself began paying attention. Companies, engineers, and repair specialists started analyzing what had actually been done during the rebuild. The use of digital scanning to recreate broken parts was especially interesting to many professionals. It showed that even highly advanced components could be reverse engineered and recreated without direct access to original factory molds. This raised both excitement and concern. Some engineers saw this as the future of repair, where cars could be fixed locally without waiting for expensive factory support. Others worried that it could lead to unsafe repairs if not properly controlled. The Bugatti case became an example in discussions about how modern manufacturing and repair systems might need to change. It also highlighted how much technology has shifted power away from traditional manufacturers. In the past, only factories had the ability to build or repair high-performance parts.